Hi guys, welcome back to Mabie Island. I am Meredith.
I'm Gaga.
Today we are going to be reviewing Would've, Could've, Should've. And I have to say, Gaga, this is one of the most requested. We've both heard the song. We are gonna deep dive into the lyrics and break it down for you guys. And these are gonna be our opinions. Definitely leave in the comments what you guys think of this song.
Mm-hmm. If you would have blinked, then I would have looked away at the first glance. If you tasted poison, you could have spit me out at the first chance.
So already, we're talking about a relationship. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about poison. If they would have tasted poison, they could have spit her out. Interesting. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he acted completely fascinated with her.
Yeah.
You know, he just...
So she's saying you had all the chances. You had all the chances to say no, but you didn't.
But he didn't blink. When he looked at her, he was fascinated with her.
And let's just put it out on the table. We're obviously talking about John Mayer here. Mm-hmm. Every Swiftie has their opinions on, who these songs might be about.
And how old was she?
So she was 19.
And he was...
32. Yeah, which is her age now. Yeah. So for me, and you guys know Coleman Islander, who is my son, he's almost 19. And he's obviously getting into the music business as Mac Noel. Go to Spotify and listen. Thank you. Okay. I can't help but think of him at his age and innocent, going into the music business. And here we have someone who's obviously very fascinated, but he's 32.
And he was overcome with her innocence.
Oh, fascinated.
Her sweetness and her innocence.
The young ingenue.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. I've watched interviews. He said she was like a rare bird, a black swan, and that there were only a few Taylor Swifts that came along in a lifetime. So obviously he knew he had the opportunity to be with someone really rare. Now we're going to hear about it.
And if I was some paint, did it splatter on a promising grown man? And if I was a child, did it matter if you got to wash your hands?
Oh.
Ow, ouch.
So she's still seeing herself very much as a child.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, he was smitten with her talent. And obviously, yes, she was one of a kind.
I can't help but go back to this story that I know. Coleman's aunt met Taylor Swift at a very young age where she said, here's my CD and I hope you listen to me and take a picture with me. And Taylor was asking her. And I think of that innocence and that young girl just dying to, get approval. Mm-hmm. Ugh.
He could have easily washed his hands of her. He was established. He didn't need her. He could have walked away and said, she's just a kid. She'll come along on her own. But he didn't do that, did he?
No.
He really didn't. He could have moved along without her. He might have had some sinister motives. She says, all I used to do was pray. Would've, could've, should've, if you never looked my way.
So there's regret here.
Absolutely.
Major regret.
Yeah.
And here's our first reference to the spiritual part of it, where, it wasn't just her heart, her physical, it was also spiritual for her. She maybe had a relationship with God.
I would have stayed on my knees. Damn sure would have never danced with the devil at 19. And the God honest truth is that the pain was heaven. And now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts. Memories feel like weapons. And now that I know, I wish you would have left me wondering.
Oh boy. Wow.
It's a lot.
The most massive case of regret I've ever heard. I've had failed relationships. Oh, I have. I never try to go in a space where I say, I wish I would have never met that person. I always try to say, well, I learned this or well, I learned that. But to live with such deep regret, to say the best thing would have been if they never existed, that is pain.
When you equate a spiritual closeness to God with a loss of innocence, and I guess you would say, now I'm no good. And God doesn't want me. If you equate it that way, and that you can't go back to God.
You can't go back.
If you feel like you've lost that closeness, that special feeling, I'm not a good girl anymore.
Oh,
and
gosh.
Now, God doesn't want me. I'm a bad girl. That's real regret.
Yikes.
So he drew her in. He took her in. For her, it was a total loss of innocence. But for him, it was just another girl.
Oh, it was another notch. The way that I have watched the interviews and see him talk, he's very arrogant. And he was very fascinated with her. But yet there was one interview where he said that she was like a child. He turned around in the studio while they were recording, and she was drawing like a child.
And then I turn around at some point, I'm like, hey, what do you think? And she's just drawing this beautiful little picture like a child in the corner. It's just like an angel, it's like a pixie.
So he even saw how innocent, how young she was, and still very much took advantage of that.
He almost said it with an attitude of ridicule.
Right. And then in another interview, it was with Ellen, she said, I hope she remains innocent. They were talking about how young and naive and that she was so humble. She was the type of star that didn't realize she was such a big star. And Ellen said, I hope she remains that humble. And he said, I will make sure she doesn't.
And humble. And very humble, yeah. I think she's that genuine.
Yeah.
She's
very, and I hope she remains that way too.
I'll make sure she doesn't.
Like a joke. But I tell you, it wasn't a joke. No. It was a conquest. It was a conquest.
He was going to make sure she'd lose her innocence.
Yeah.
If you'd never touched me, I would have gone along with the righteous. If I never blushed, then they could have never whispered about this. And if you never saved me from boredom, I could have gone on as I was. But Lord, you made me feel important.
Ooh, and that showed very publicly. So when you talk about whispers, I mean, this was a very public relationship and one of her first. So I think her mom or dad maybe warned her about John Mayer.
Dear John, she says my mother accused me of losing my mind.
Okay.
Oh.
So even her parents said, don't do this. This is crazy. Don't. He's too old. You're too young. This isn't a good idea. Well, they were right.
Well, he was at the top. He was secure in his stardom.
Yeah.
And she was just like, starstruck.
Fascinating.
And I'm sure that her mom did think she'd lost her mind at some point and was trying to kind of pull her back and say, you'll get there sometime. You'll get there on your own. You don't need to grab onto his coattails and lose your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably all of us mothers have done that.
Yeah.
At one time or the other, tried to grab onto her daughters and say, don't lose your mind.
Yeah.
And you've done that too. That,
oh, yeah.
And so there's probably some regret on Taylor's part.
Oh, for sure.
When she writes these lyrics, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Probably should have listened to her mama. Well, the next thing she said is, and then you tried to erase us.
And then you tried to erase us. See, this is the part where I think about this line, and I don't understand, and maybe we're not meant to understand exactly what that means. I don't know. I don't know if he just ignored her or just pretended. I was going to say, did
he walk away from her at that point?
I don't know.
Or just act like, oh, kid, I'm done with you.
But how painful. I mean, not to even respect her with a memory. Like, tried to erase us means pretend like it never happened, I guess. But it adds to the level of pain that she was feeling. I do know that. It must have hurt even more. Not to have the respect of him saying, well, that was a good time, or I really liked you. To try to erase her means to not even respect the memory of the relationship, that's painful.
I think, too, right around 18, 19, 20 is when a girl starts to really get serious.
Yeah.
And starts to think more permanently. Think about...
Like, this might be someone that I marry. This might be someone that I end up with for a long time. This might be the one.
Yeah, where you quit having, like, the little girly crushes and you start to think seriously. So she may have done that.
Yeah.
Mixed in with all of that, idolizing him. Because he is a very talented human being.
Oh, yeah. At the top of his game at that point.
Yeah.
Very popular.
You're a crisis of my faith. Woulda, coulda, should've. If only I'd played it safe. And now that I know, I wish you'd left me wondering. I think initially he spoiled her and caused her to break with her faith in God and caused her to feel like she wasn't a good girl anymore. Just kind of ruined her image of herself. Break with herself.
Caused her to stop and really think, where do I stand? Where am I now? Who am I now?
So she goes right on to, in this next set of verses, God rest my soul, I miss who I used to be.
Oh, that's so painful.
The tomb won't close. Stained glass windows in my mind. I regret you all the time.
Oh, ouch.
I can't let this go. I fight with you in my sleep. The wound won't close. I keep on waiting for a sign. I regret you all the time.
It's super personal, super painful. It must be therapeutic for her to write about these things. I certainly hope she doesn't feel this strongly about it now. It must be therapeutic to get all this out and share all this. I don't know that I could be that vulnerable. But I think it helps other people. So leave in the comments, when you guys hear a song like this, do you relate to it? Do you think, I'm not the only one who really messed up and now I'm wondering who I'm going to be, who I am, what do I believe in? Where is God in this?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Am I forgiven? Should I forgive? Literally, she says a crisis of her faith.
She's kind of asking God for peace there.
Yeah.
Feeling the death of herself and the death of her innocence and her faith. I like the imagery right there of the glittering stained glass.
Yeah, windows in the
that
mind.
Feeling that you have when you go in and you feel the presence of God when you go into a cathedral or something, you know, where you see all the candles and the stained glass and the
it's
beauty.
Beautiful.
You feel the presence of God, and I think she misses that. She misses the feeling of the presence of God, and maybe feels like she doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt in this song.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guilt.
Regretting that feeling of feeling separated from God. So. And that's just my feeling. I'm not. I think that's what she's saying.
I think so too.
She's been deeply wounded.
Yeah.
By this man.
Very, very much so. Life changing.
Because she was innocent and she gave herself to him, and he didn't deserve it at all. Might have been the first time she dealt with someone with a narcissistic personality.
Right.
My hope for her is that she could get over this and forgive herself.
I hope that all these songs on Midnights, like she says, they're autobiographical. So she's going back into 13 sleepless nights in her life. And I hope that the pain that is represented in the song isn't still present. You know, I hope that time has healed these wounds.
We've probably all dealt with times or people that have hurt us deeply. For myself, I would never want to keep carrying those things around with me because I think they damage you and
make you sick.
So you just have to forgive those people that have hurt you and put it behind you. Pray to God to forgive you if you've done wrong, and ask that person to forgive you if you've done wrong, and go on.
Move on.
Move on.
The best you can.
Move on. Because God will forgive you. He loves you. He doesn't want you to live in misery.
Yeah. We all make mistakes.
Yes, we all do.
That's for sure.
We all do. So if you've had any problems like that, just try to forgive yourself and forgive others.
So the rest of the song repeats. The lines keep repeating. I think it was a beautiful song. For this song, I give it a 4. It's a beautiful song. It's not my favorite, though. It represents a lot of pain for her. You know, you can't help but listen to a song like this and say, how does it apply to me? You cannot help but do that. So you think of what you would feel like. You're thinking what she would feel like. Who's this song about? If you're a true Swiftie, you're thinking about John Mayer and that relationship. So it's not necessarily what I would call a fun song to listen to.
No.
It's painful. It makes you cry. It really does. I cried when I watched the lyric video because I felt like this is it. This is a story of her innocence being completely robbed. And it's sad.
Probably a lot of girls would relate.
Yeah.
Their own loss of innocence to this song. Lyrically, it's great poetry, and maybe 4.5.
Okay. What did you guys think of this song? Leave in the comments how it affected you. We hope you liked this reaction. We always read your comments, and we want to know where you're watching from. Also, the way that you guys can support our channel is go over to patreon.com/Mabie Island. You can become a gold member, and if you do right now, you'll be entered into a drawing for the Midnight's vinyl album, which we have here. Look at this. This is signed by Taylor Swift. Now, this is ours, so we're keeping this one. The one that we have exactly like this is the Midnight's vinyl album, and you will win this. And right now, there are 4 people in the drawing, so if you guys become a member of our Patreon, which is like $3 a month, you'll be entered into that drawing. Why wouldn't you do that? So go on over there to Patreon, become a Patreon now. And thank you to all the members who are already joined. It's nice to know.
So many nice people.
Bye.
Bye.